Hey, what's up? John Simons from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got a question about switching from QA to dev, and I did a video on this previously. You can find that video here, but I got some follow-up questions that I figured I would address. So this is definitely a popular topic. A lot of QA or testers want to get into development. I have struggled through this myself, and I will talk about this more when I go through the next video in my life story. I was doing a series. You can check out the series here, but I'll talk about this because I had to face this myself. But anyway, so there's kind of two questions here, and this is from I want to say this right, Shishu, I think that's right, Shishu, and he says, could you please talk about the following? A, switching to development in the same company. I want to know what is the right time, say after working for 6 months or a year in testing, to go ahead and tell your manager that you like development and want to switch to a dev team. And B, switching jobs. Say I've worked in testing for a year or two in a company X. I want to go out and find a development position in company Y. Can I showcase my testing knowledge as development experience during an interview? What are the pros and cons of doing that? Looking forward to your advice. So let's start with within a company, right? This is sort of a tricky thing because you don't want to come into a company in a QA role, testing role, and your goal is to become a developer, and you tell them that from the start. Because when a company is hiring someone for a QA or testing position, they probably want to hire for that position. They don't necessarily want their people to switch over. Now, not all companies are like this. In fact, a lot of smarter companies realize that it's a benefit to grow their employees, because those employees that grow and experience career growth are going to take other people with them. They're going to be more productive. They're going to be the go-getters. That are going to be the people that you want to hire. And sometimes they're going to leave you, but that's okay, because they're going to leave you better than they found you, and they're eventually going to attract good people with them to come and replace them, because they'll create the kind of environment that people want to work in. But aside from that, let's say that you have QA or testing experience, you get a job with a company, and and maybe you have this idea that you're going to be a developer up front. I mean, you could look for those positions specifically, but I'm guessing that in most cases, what you want to do, what my strategy would be to be the best QA testing person possible, right? To just be doing my job as best as possible for whatever that time period is. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, to prove yourself that that you are a good worker, that you are loyal, that you understand the business, and that you're striving to improve yourself. Then what I would be doing at that same time is I would be starting to try and learn about development, to get into development. If you can go into automation, test automation, that's always a good place, because that's sort of that middle ground between development and testing, and it's actually a good career in itself, right? I mean, it's a really good one, because a lot of companies need skilled software automation people. Believe me, I know I get lots of requests for that. So that's one step. Another one would be to just work with the developers on the team and to ask them questions. You got to be learning on your own, right? You've essentially got to, this is what I'm assuming that you're doing, right? You are not going to get a company to train you on the job to go from QA to development. You're not going to go from tester to developer by having someone else train you. You're going to have, that's totally 100% your responsibility. You're going to have to learn all that stuff on your own. Go and do training on Pluralsight, go and do whatever, read books, and get to the point where you have the experience where you could actually write code, do your own project. So I'm just telling you from the corporate side of it how you're going to work this out. So assuming you do that, then maybe can you talk to developers on the development team and offer to help them with some of their work. Say, could I get access to the source code? Say, could I perhaps fix a bug or two as I see these bugs? I have some experience. I know how to do this. I'd like to learn more. Be very open to that, and be willing to do this on your own time. Right? I mean, it's going to take some sacrifice in order to get there, but if you're willing to stay extra hours and do some dev work in addition, that's going to be a good transition. And your goal is to get to the point where you are such a valuable developer that they want to move you to the development team, where they say, hey, look, this guy does all his work, his testing and QA work, and he gets it done way ahead of time, and then he starts working on development stuff, and he's so valuable as a developer working on development stuff that we got to move him over. We want to get him on the dev team. And in fact, I'll talk about this more in my history, but that's exactly what I did, right? I was hired into a QA position. I didn't really like it, but I did the best job I could there, and I was working hard on that, and I was helping developers. I got to the point where I knew more about development than the developers, but I didn't make them think so. Instead, I just was as helpful as possible. And so they're telling their boss, their manager, hey, we got to get this, we need more of John's time. We need to get him more on that team. And then eventually they pulled me over instead of me asking for it. If you do it that way, rather than, if you tell your boss, hey, I want to move into development, okay, maybe they'll help you to do that, but instead take the actions, act as if, right? I always say this, act as if you're already a developer. What kind of responsibilities can you take on? Take the responsibilities on yourself without someone having to ask you, or without you having to ask, and that's going to get you there much faster. That's going to help you in any transition that you want to make, not just QA to dev or testing to development. So that's where I would start. And then I want to address the outside of the company. It's going to be hard. So what you want to do is you want to get some kind of development experience within the company that you're working for. Again, the same strategy, right? If that didn't move you into development in the company you're working for, and you look outside, at least now you'll be able to put on your resume that you fixed some bugs, that you were doing some development activities. Even if you're volunteering your own time to do that, now you can put that, and now you can sort of have development experience on your resume when you look for a new job, and that's going to help transition that. And it's also going to help to have a portfolio. I always recommend this. Have some kind of project you're working on. It's so easy today to build like a mobile app, like an Android or an iOS app, or even just a web app that you can show that you can do the work. And if you can show the code, the source code, and show how you write code, that's going to help to get you your foot in the door. It's sometimes hard to do that, but you can work with a professional resume writer, which I always recommend, in order to gear your resume to take your QA and testing experience and to really emphasize the development part of it. So anyway, I hope that helps. The key thing, like I say, more than anything else, is that one, the development stuff, you learn it on your own. You can't expect someone to train you and to move you into that. That's never going to happen. No company is going to invest in converting a person over, or very few companies would. Maybe big corporations might, but I wouldn't count on it. Two, you have to take the responsibility on yourself and start doing the development work in your own time. If you have to, get all your responsibilities done as QA and tester so that there's no fault there, and then start taking on additional responsibility. And your goal is to help the developers and help the development team, not to prove you're smarter than them. By doing that, you will gain their respect, and they will want you. They will pull you onto the team. And if that doesn't work, then go and find another company. But there's a high probability of that working if you do that correctly. Anyway, if you have a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogram.com. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Take care.